Okay, everybody got their phone muted? Before we get going here? All right. Here we go. Okay, the quarterly meeting of the Texas State System Board of Regents will now come to order. This meeting is authorized under the Government Code, Chapter 551, regarding the Open Meetings Act. The agenda for this meeting was registered with the Secretary of State on May 21st. For the record, the date is May 25th, 2023, and the time is 12:31. A quorum of the board is present. Please note for the minutes that Regent Long is not here. All present, please rise. Regent Tinsley, will you please deliver the invocation?
Please pray with me. Dear God, we come together once again to conduct the business of Texas State University System. Help us to see that what we do here today and tomorrow is more than merely conducting business. Help each of us to see what we do as a great opportunity to be of service to the students, faculty, and administration of our institutions of higher learning. As Memorial Day approaches, let each decision we make in life be influenced by those who have gone before us, sacrificing their lives to give us the freedoms we enjoy today, and by our faith in you. We offer this prayer to your Spirit. Amen.
Regent Amato, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Regent Faskey, will you lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag?
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thanks, everyone. I want to begin by thanking President Danfus and his wife, Beth, for the great dinner last night. For those of us who were able to attend, it was fantastic, the chefs and staff, and we really appreciate it. And thank you from the Regents for opening your house. Tell Beth we appreciate it. Thank you. We also want to welcome new Regent, Russell Gordy. Mr. Gordy is a distinguished alumnus and longtime supporter of Sam Houston State University and is managing partner and majority owner in SG Interest and president of Gordy Oil Company. Welcome to the Board of Regents.
Thank you. I'm proud to be here.
We're very lucky to have him on the board. We'll add tons of value to the students and where we're going, so we really appreciate his dedication to us. Brian? Okay, great. As we get started with regular business, I would like to remind the board that after a motion is made on an agenda item and the call for the second is requested, please raise your hand and wait for me to recognize you for the proper recording of the minutes. Also a reminder, we are live streaming this meeting and to silence your phones and devices. Our first item of business is the approval of the previous meeting minutes held February 23rd and 24th of this year. Regents, are there any additions or corrections to the February meeting minutes? If there are none, I move that the minutes of the quarterly Board of Regents meeting held February 23rd and 24th be approved. Do I hear a second? Second, Regent Tinsley. Any discussion? Hearing none, the motion passes. The next order of business is the approval of the future board dates for the February and May 2024. This item can be found in the general motion section of the board book. I move we adopt the proposed future board dates. Do I hear a second? Second by Regent Lee. Any discussion? Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. We will now hear reports and motions from committees. The committees met prior to the board meeting to go over proposed agenda items in detail. All items under consideration were voted on by the committees before coming to the full board. I will call on the chairs of the committees to present the reports and make motions to the full board. Academic and Health Affairs Committee, Regent Flores, Chair.
Thank you, Chair Austin. Before discussing the agenda items from the Academic and Health Affairs Committee meeting, I'd like to invite Dr. John Hayek, our Vice Chancellor for Academic and Health Affairs, to the podium for a brief update on the degrees and certificates awarded by our system over the past year.
Thank you, Regent Flores. Good afternoon, Chair Austin, Regents. Over the past several weeks, the institutions of the Texas State University system have awarded a record number of degrees and certificates to our students. Nearly 11,000 graduates this spring who are now brand new alum of our system. Given the recent successful commencement ceremonies, I thought it might be informative to quickly share just a few updates on our annual graduates. This first slide gives an overall sense of kind of the numbers from the past year. We've awarded over 22,000 degrees and certificates in our system, increasing to our numbers of alum that are now over 545,000 strong. Of the degrees and certificates to undergraduates, 46% of those come from low-income students and families, 50% from minority students. A third of our degrees and certificates in this past year were online degrees. 10% are from STEM areas. About 52% of our graduates do so without any debt whatsoever. And given the legacy of the origins of our system related to education and teachers' colleges, we still have a lot of expertise and continue to provide a lot of new teachers and educators to the system, over 1,400 per year. Increasingly, we have a lot of health expertise as well, producing over 700 plus new nurses to the state. In terms of top majors, of the 22,000 degrees and credentials this past year, about 60% were actually bachelor's degrees. About a quarter, 1 in 4, were master's degrees, 5,700, and about 10% were either certificates and associates. And again, here are kind of the top degrees by degree being offered, and you can see our education strength really shows up strong in terms of the top categories, particularly for bachelor's and master's degrees. Produce a lot of leadership degrees at the master's level as well. But increasingly, our system is really known for its strength in criminal justice, law enforcement, homeland security, in addition to very strong business programs and health as well. This gives you just a sense of the select institutions that are, corporations and agencies and organizations that our graduates are being employed by upon graduation. You can see lots of familiar names in there. Some local names, a lot of independent school districts, state agencies, Texas Park, and Walgreens, you name it. Our graduates are being employed by the best corporations and agencies in the state and nationally. In terms of the salaries of our graduates, there is a website called texascruise.org, and CRUISE stands for Consumer Resource for Education and Workforce Statistics. It's actually a joint initiative between the Texas Workforce Commission and the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And the project matches Texas unemployment insurance wage records with public college and university graduates over a 10-year period of time. These data are available on a website, and the latest data are from 2020. We've actually been working with the Texas Workforce Commission over the past 6 to 12 months to actually get our system's own matched data in order to do more sophisticated analysis of our own graduates' salaries. And we look forward to providing an update on those data in the future. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hayek, for the updates, and congratulations to all of our institutions for this great work. Now for the committee report. The Academic and Health Affairs Committee met telephonically on Monday, May 15, 2023, and was chaired by me with the committee members, Regents Lee and Regent Tinsley, in attendance, as well as representatives from our institutions and system staff. All action and consent items were reviewed, discussed, and approved by the committee to be moved to the full board. Chair Austin, I move that Lamar University be authorized to offer a new Bachelor of Science degree in computer engineering effective fall 2024. Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Regent Faske. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The second item for consideration is also from Lamar University. Chair Austin, I move that Lamar University be authorized to offer a new Master of Science degree in computational quantitative methods to be offered in person, hybrid, and online effective 2023. Mr. Chairman.
I do hear a second. Regent Amato. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. Before voting on the next item, I would like to invite President White to provide brief remarks on Sam Houston State University's new strategic plan.
Thank you, Regent Forrest. Last May, you may remember that the board approved our strategic framework, which consisted of a mission statement, values, vision statement, and 4 strategic priorities. Those priorities are to prioritize student success and student access, to embody a culture of excellence, to elevate the reputation and visibility of Sam Houston State University, and to expand and elevate our service to the state and beyond. Over the fall semester, approximately 270 faculty, staff, students, alumni, and community members worked together to develop 20 goals that make up the university strategic plan, which you have. Our plan will allow the university to align and focus our resources to meet the needs of the future, and will also help us to be nimble and agile as opportunities and challenges come our way, and we ask for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. White, and we look forward to hearing updates in the future. Thank you. The third item is approval of the Sam Houston State University Strategic Plan. Chair Austin, I move that Sam Houston State University's strategic plan for 2023 be approved.
Do I hear a second? Regent Lee, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The fourth item for consideration is also from Sam Houston State University. Chair Austin, I move that Sam Houston State University be authorized to offer a new Master's of Arts degree in History and Political Studies, fully online, effective fall 2023. Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Regent Faske. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The fifth item for consideration is from Lamar Institute of Technology. Chair Austin, I move that Lamar Institute of Technology be authorized to offer a new Associate of Applied Science degree in Mechatronics effective fall 2023. Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second? Regent Scott. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
The sixth item is for consideration from Lamar State College, Orange. Chair Austin, I move that Lamar State College, Orange be authorized to add a recognized higher education teaching site in Lumberton, Texas, effective fall 2023. Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second? Second. Regent Foskey. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The seventh item for consideration is from Lamar State College, Port Arthur. Mr. Chairman, I move that Lamar State College, Port Arthur be authorized to offer a new Associate of Applied Science degree in Social Media and Digital Marketing effective spring 2024. Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second? Regent Amato. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The final item for information only is the spring 2023 certified enrollment report for the Texas State University system components. Any remaining items are included in the consent agenda unless someone wishes to remove them from consent. Hearing none, this concludes the committee's report for the board.
Thank you, Regent Flores. Just from the board, and we appreciate what the institutions are doing, and I'll say from myself and our company that the degrees that we produce here in the system, we get kids to work. So it doesn't go unnoticed from the board, and so we do appreciate it. Thank you for your work. We'll go to the Finance and Audit Committee. Regent Lee. Chair.
Thank you. The Finance and Audit Committee met telephonically on May the 16th of 2023 to discuss finance and audit items included in today's agenda. I chaired the meeting, and fellow committee members Regents Austin and Scott were present. We were also joined by Regents Flores and Long. The Finance and Audit Committee considered all items, and the committee agreed to move each item to today's meeting for the board's consideration. Before we begin, I would like to ask Daniel to come up to the podium and offer a brief financial overview of the system.
Thank you, sir. So the update will include, we'll talk about insurance, debt, treasury, and then our a financial indicator that we use to monitor institutional health. So for insurance, just for overview, we bind property, which includes builder's risk, auto, crime, directors and officers, foreign travel, cyber, general liability, and student health. So I think we've pretty much got the full gamut of insurance programs out there. For property, the insured values is up to $5.3 billion. So this is 87% up since the inception of 2011. And our average rate, we're at 19 cents per $100 of value. Total premium we're right at $10 million, and we're up 75% since inception. The big change that we made this renewal is going to something called quota share. So while we have a deductible across the bottom for every loss that we pay, we're also taking 15% of every loss up to the maximum coverage. And then on the slide, you can see, we have relatively small deductibles, $250,000 for the larger institutions, $100,000 for the smaller institutions. We have a 2% hail, a 3% wind. And kind of the other highlight to note is, as those who do this in their professional life as well, the insurance market's fairly tough. We've had losses within our own system. We've had losses in the state of Texas. We've also had losses in other states that the insurance companies that are interested in our risk, they're also interested in California and Florida. So they've hit pretty hard. In our primary layer, we're at 109% loss ratio. And the markets tells us, they need to be somewhere around 70% to actually make money. So as you can see, they're somewhat upside down. Graphical trend that just shows you on the left where our total insured value is up to and how it trends year over year. And then you can see on the right how the rate kind of fluctuates. And, you know, we're in what I think they call a hard market, where the insurance carriers have more leverage than the buyer does. And the only thing I'll add back on that 15% quota share is by doing that, we reduced our premium about $2 million this year. And if you look for the last 5 years, if we would have had the quota share, it would have cost us about $2.7 million over 5 years. So, you know, we felt like for what the insurance market wanted to charge us versus what our historic losses have been, this was an acceptable risk to take. Next is auto. So we do have a high retention auto program. Our old program was similar to what most people's personal auto looked like. We had a $1,000 deductible on physical damage and a $5,000 deductible for liability. That market said they're not really interested in insuring institutions of higher ed that way. So we moved to this high retention. So the institutions have their own deductible. So it's a small deductible per loss. Then the system comes in and we fill above that. So for a physical damage, the institution pays the first $5,000. We're between $5,000 and $75,000 per occurrence. For liability, it's a similar structure. The institution pays the first $1,000. The system pays the next $5,000. Then it goes to the insurance carrier above us. Derek? And if you look at the trend starting in 2020, the quoted premium, if we would have had our low retention traditional program, was $530,000. The premium we pay for high retention is $212,000. The first year we paid out $26,000 in losses. And then we have the claim service was another $27,000. So our net savings in year one was $264,000. If you were to extrapolate what that 2020 quote would have been if they would have offered it in future years, was what we're trying to do on the top line. And so you can see, you know, in our 4-year history, we're saving around $250,000 a year by taking that additional risk in-house. So all in, if history is indicative of the future, you know, that will continue, and this will be a good risk transfer that the institutions, the system chose to take versus keeping it out. And this is a graphical representation of the previous slide. Next is debt management. So we have about $1 billion outstanding. $900 million is long-term, $150 million or so is short-term. It's on our commercial paper program. The vast majority of that outstanding debt does belong to the institutions, $730 million of that. We pay about $100 million of debt service a year, with about $70 million of it being for principal, about $35 million of it being for interest. Our average interest rate over our entire book, the entire $900 million, is 2.88%. So with our size and our balance sheet, we're able to get into the market at fairly competitive rates. If we were to go to the market today, we'd probably be somewhere around 4% long-term over 20 years. So we do have some anticipated new debt, and you can see illustrations of them surrounding the room. Between the state share and the institution share, it's about $800 million. And again, you know, with our strong credit rating, the fact that we pay down debt at the rate we do, and then with what we have on, you know, we anticipate there's no change in our credit rating by adding $800 million in the next few years. Total debt, it's just an illustration that shows you over time. Again, we have a pretty aggressive amortization on it, so we pay it down fast. The red is the state share, the blue is the institutional share. This does not include the $800 million that we have planned, which about half of that is state and the other half is institution. And this just shows you the principal versus the interest across that same duration. Again, you can see we pay a substantial amount of principal every year versus interest. And then would be no surprise to the board, this is the diagram of how the outstanding $1 billion is split. The state colleges is It's predominantly all state debt since they don't have auxiliary enterprises. Texas State and Sam Houston recently have done a lot with dormitories and some of their, so you'll see their number is larger. Sol Ross, again, has very little debt outside of their housing operation. Next, Treasury. So a few years ago, we moved to a unitized investment structure. So historically, it was decentralized at the institutional level. We've pooled that. It's around $600-700 million. The red line shows you our endowment, and then the blue line is our operating pool. And as we're all very keenly aware, the early years of this, the market was doing great. Hasn't been as favorable, but still, since inception, our endowment's pushing 9% returns, 8.5% returns. So still feel we're getting good advice and making good decisions. And then the last piece here is the composite financial index, which I'll have to give credit to Dr. Hernandez and Eric Algo for turning us on to this. This is, it's 4 key metrics that put together, and Nakubo is kind of, I guess, the architect to it, and it looks at those and weights those 4 metrics, and where you want to be is somewhere in that 3 to 5, and as you can see, historically we've been right there, but so it should give assurance that the institutions are in good financial health and the system as a whole is in good financial health. And this is the slide, if broken out for the current year by the individual institutions, starting with Lamar, going through and ends with our composite score. The individual metrics are where you would think they would be if you, had a lot of knowledge of where, or I guess the financial health of the institution. Sol Ross has put a lot of effort into an investment into the future, so their number since last year has come more into the red. And then also point out, Texas State, they're right at a 5, and my understanding is Dr. Danfus has plans that are going to utilize those reserves to move the university forward. So, and the next slide, I like to call it the Regent Scott slide. This is months of coverage on hand. The standard is to be somewhere in this 5-month range. You can see system-wide we're at 7.4. You can see the trend. Lamar under Dr. Taylor has put a lot of effort into building that reserve. Sam Houston's in a great spot. Sol Ross has spent some of their reserves on the future. Texas State is poised well to have the cash to invest in the future, and then the state colleges. So, and with that, it concludes my overview.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Harper. I want to applaud you, one, for the report, fantastic report, and also for your efforts to keep our insurance burden down. I mean, it's a tough market out there, and clearly your work has paid dividends for the system. Much appreciated. With that, I'd like to move on to the agenda items. The first item for consideration is Sam Houston State University osteopathic medicine program fee. Chairman Austin, I move that contingent upon Sam Houston receiving state formula funding for the College of Medicine by the 88th Legislature, Sam Houston be authorized to decrease the annual program fee to $19,950 for resident students and $21,950 for non-resident students.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Regent Tinsley? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you, Chair Austin. The next item for consideration is Texas State University System investment policy. Chairman Austin, I move that the investment policy for operating funds and endowment funds effective June the 1st, 2023 be approved.
Do I hear a second? Regent Flores? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The next items on the agenda are only informational items. They include the operating budget adjustments and the status of implementation of audit recommendations. They're for your review only. And then the final remaining items which are also in your report, are included in the consent agenda. And if there are no challenges to the consent agenda or requests for removal of any of those items, that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Regent Lee. Well done, Daniel, as well. We're quite large buyer of insurances, difficult markets. I do agree. It's well done, and also the debt structure. It's fantastic. So many would envy our position as what we do. So thank you. Thank you. With that, we'll move on to planning and construction. Regent Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Planning and Construction Committee met on May the 16th, 2023 to discuss the planning and construction agenda. I chaired the meeting. Regents Austin, Lee, and Flores were in attendance. The committee considered all items and agreed to move each item to today's meeting for the board's consideration. The first item for consideration is Sam Houston State University Campus Master Plan. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Ryan Losh with Page Sutherland Page to present the proposed master plan.
Thanks very much. Appreciate the time today to show what we've been working on with Dr. White and her full team at Sam Houston. If you go to the next slide, this effort for the Sam Houston State Campus Plan began really last March and lasted for about a year, concluding with the report that hopefully I think you've received that was developed early this year. Next slide. This effort really was encompassing of a broad stroke of the campus community, the leadership from the institution, staff, faculty, students, as well as some of the outside community leadership, particularly in the Huntsville area. The long-term vision for the plan really unites the strategic plan that Dr. White presented on a little bit earlier with the physical implementation, and there are really three main plan themes that I'll walk through. The first one is to facilitate students' success with the physical infrastructure of the campus. This is really about strengthening the campus core in Huntsville, creating better connectivity, creating clusters of academic facilities, both looking at existing facilities and reinforcing those as well as potential new facilities. Just looking at one example of that, the Academic Core East looks at additions to arts and media, to the business school, as well as pedestrian enhancements. On the next slide, one of the main challenges that Sam Houston State has is the topography of the campus and accessibility. We've done a deep dive on accessibility and look at future connections and open spaces as a way to make the campus really fully accessible for all so that you have ability to traverse that topography easily. The next theme is to strengthen campus neighborhoods. There are really two primary residential neighborhoods on the campus, on the north and the south. And look at the campus plan looks at building these out over time with new facilities and improved open space and pedestrian connectivity throughout both of them. Again, just looking in at one of these examples, the South Campus neighborhood, where some of the newer residence halls are, has proposed for future residence halls that would be infilled and strengthen this area, as well as some open space. And looking at the next slide, so the idea that some of these open spaces could be multifunctional. You might be closed down for pedestrian use on a daily basis, but could be opened back up for emergency or move in, move out day needs. And the last one is to really enhance the campus visibility. The campus has a great position along Sam Houston Avenue in Huntsville, but there are opportunities to really enhance its position there and its presence within the city through gateways and improved vehicular circulation into and around the campus. And really reinforcing Bowers Boulevard as the primary gateway. It is where the Welcome Center is today, but a proposal for a longer-term building that would be interdisciplinary and Welcome Center. And then on the next slide, really the enhancement of an open space that would present that welcoming presence for the campus. This process also involved enrollment projections that look at the 10-year increase in enrollment for the campus in all different aspects, including Huntsville, Conroe, Woodlands, as well as online, which has a projection for some substantial increase by percentage. And that's paired with the need for space, looking both at the need for space today, where there's a delta in need based on current enrollment, and then the longer-term projection. And this was done for each campus independently. Looking at the near-term priorities, these are projections for the next few years of what's needed. This tries to balance both new facilities with the renovation and operation and maintenance of existing facilities. The 10-year plan, again, looks at additional renovations, as well as residence halls and some additional athletics as the athletics stature of the institution continues to increase. And then the long-term vision, again, takes the next kind of beyond the 10-year horizon, looking at additional residence halls, additional renovation, and some potential parking facilities. The Conroe campus, where the School of Osteopathic Medicine is, projects a small surplus in space today, but really there's a substantial increase in enrollment projected. So there's a need for additional space, which has already been funded by the legislature. So this is going to be an important step for that campus moving forward. Next. This campus really is landlocked, but this new building for the health professions will help to really create that campus environment, as well as the parking garage that's underway now. And this will create really a student-centered space for that campus. For the Woodlands campus, this campus does have a little bit of space today, but then in the long-term projection, a small need that we really feel can be accommodated through strategic realignment of space internal to the building. This campus doesn't project any new built space, but some improvements to open space and improvements to campus visibility that can really create a differentiation between, it sits on the same parcel with Lone Star College, and that connection is really important, but also important that Sam Houston is able to have an identity there that is distinct from Lone Star College. And so we really feel like this plan as a whole is a good unification of the strategic plan and the projection of the campus moving, or the institution moving forward, that blends improvements to open space, improvements to existing facilities with projected new facilities long term. With that, happy if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Both Daniel Harper and I were very impressed with this presentation and with this plan. And at this time, I wanted to ask Dr. White if you'd like to make some remarks.
Thank you, Regent Scott. I would just corroborate the emphasis on accessibility. Our campus is very difficult for mobility impaired students and visitors to navigate. So by redirecting some of the traffic, the parking lots, and dealing with the topography, we believe that we'll have many more people easily coming to the interior of the campus. And so I'm very excited about what this will do just for the liveliness of campus for our community. And I really appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. White. Chairman Austin, at this time I'd like to move that the 2023 to 2033 campus master plan be approved.
Do I hear a second? Regent Flores. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
The next item for consideration is the TSUS Capital Improvement Program. Chairman Austin, I'd like to move that the Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2024 through 2029 be approved.
Do I hear a second? Regent Amato. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you. The third item on the agenda today is informational item. It's the quarterly planning and construction report. There's no motion necessary, but we'd like to move that. The remaining items on planning and construction agenda are included in the consent agenda. Additions to the current 2023 to 2028 capital improvement program. And this concludes the Planning and Construction Committee report.
Yeah. Thanks, Regent Scott. Lots going on in construction planning, bright future for the universities. I'm proud to see everyone and what's going to be happening in the future, especially at Sam Houston. So make sure you do that well, at least. Just kidding. Okay, now moving on to rules and regulations.
The Rules and Regulations Committee met by telephone on Wednesday, May 17, 2023, and discussed the items on the Rules and Regulations agenda. I chaired the meeting, which was also attended by committee members Regent Posky and Regent Flores. The Chancellor and representatives of the System Administration Office and of the component institutions were also present. The meeting was duly posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Law. The committee voted unanimously to recommend that all agenda items be placed on the consent agenda, and unless any regent would like to move one of those rules to the meeting agenda, the committee recommends that they remain a part of the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the Rules and Regulations Committee report.
Thank you for your report, Regent Tinsley. In view of the Rules and Regulations Committee's recommendation to place these proposed rules on the consent agenda, no action is required at this time. The Government Relations Committee, Regent Amato?
I think we're going to wait till tomorrow.
We are.
On that.
You're right. So normally at this time, we would hear the Government Relations report, but due to the fast-paced nature of the legislative session, we are going to move this till tomorrow. In order to provide everyone with the most up-to-date information, the board will now consider contracts, personnel, and miscellaneous items. Contracts. The next order of business is the approval of contracts. All of these items in the contract section can be found on the consent agenda. Are there any questions from the board? There being no questions or objections, the next order of business is the personnel section. The first item in this delegation of authority for the chair of the Board of Regents is to determine the compensation of the chancellor during fiscal year 2024 and make necessary updates to the existing employment and deferred compensation contracts. Regents, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Regent Flores. Is there a second? Regent Amato? Any discussion? Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. The second item on the delegation of authority to determine fiscal year 2024 compensation for the Chief Audit Executive to the Chair of the Finance and Audit Committee. Regents, is there a motion? Regent Scott? Is there a second?
Second.
Regent Tinsley? Any discussion? Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. The remaining items in the personnel section can be found on the consent agenda. The next order of business is the miscellaneous section. We have an item from Sam Houston State University. It is for approval to the name of the new road at Sam Houston State University's Gibbs Ranch. Dr. White, would you please comment on this motion?
Thank you, Chairman. Sam Houston State University has long enjoyed a relationship with the Sandel family. Joe and Winnie Sandel, their son Byron, and daughter-in-law Charlene. They've generously donated to the construction of the multipurpose arena located at the WS Gibbs Ranch. We're requesting to honor the family by naming a new road at Gibbs Ranch, the Blake Sandel Lane. The constructed road on the Gibbs Ranch property would be named in memory of Blake Sandel, the oldest child of Byron and Charlene Sandel, who lost his life in 2007. Blake was 16 years old, attended Huntsville High School. His greatest joy was the rodeo, where he competed in calf roping, team roping, and steer wrestling. It was the Sandals' original intent to ask that the multipurpose arena be named after Blake. However, in late 2022, they asked that the arena instead be named in honor of Sonny Sykes, national icon rodeo champ and coach, who served as a Sam Houston rodeo coach for 40 years. The Sandals wanted to bring more visibility to the agriculture and rodeo programs by associating them forever with Coach Sykes. He has fans and mentees all over the country. So we would like to honor Blake Sandal as well, and naming this new road on the property would be fitting, and we would appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. White. Regents, any questions? I move the new road being constructed through Sam Houston State University, Gibbs Ranch Equestrian Facility, and Agricultural Labs Complex be named Blake Sandal Lane. Is there a second? Regent Amato, any discussion? Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously. The remaining action items in the miscellaneous section have been moved to the later in the agenda, and the remaining item in the miscellaneous section can be found on the consent agenda. I would now like to ask President Carlos Hernandez to provide an update on Sol Ross Rio Grande College and move toward a standalone four-year university in that region of the state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Regents, as you know, 2 years ago, the Texas legislature authorized nearly $60 million in capital project funding for Sol Ross. The board later dedicated roughly $33 million of that amount towards the construction of a new multi-purpose educational building and other facilities improvements in the Middle Rio Grande region. Since its founding, Sol Ross Rio Grande College has leased space from Southwest Texas Junior College in Del Rio, Eagle Pass, and Uvalde. The funding approved in 2021 gave Sol Ross the opportunity to build its own facility in Eagle Pass and to chart a course towards a new standalone four-year institution if certain milestones are achieved in the coming years. Two of these milestones are increasing enrollment and laying the groundwork for a complete four-year college experience, which is why we requested legislation this session to allow Rio Grande College to downward expand by offering lower division courses in addition to the upper division courses currently offered. The following video outlines the path forward as we work to build a new institution for this region. Regents. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very well. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hernandez. We know this is something that requires a ton of leadership from you and what you've done for the Valley, for the kids, and where it's going certainly looks promising. We look forward to hearing more about it in August. The board will now recess to executive session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071 through 551.074 of the Government Code. No votes will be taken in executive session. For the record, the time is 1:21 p.m. We'll now. Good
job, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, excellent.
guys right now. We'll do, so we'll do Jimmy, and then we'll do the football zone. Right. Yes, sir. And run them. I'm waiting on them to.
Did you read that?
Mm-mm.
You should have one. This
I
is
do,
really
yeah.
interesting.
Isn't that amazing?
Make a note, Nelson's offer, once we go to lunch on May 31st in his office.
I'll get it. I got it. I'm watching. As soon as he's off, we're gonna get going.
Okay? So we can talk about it when I get in. Thank you.
Okay, everybody ready? Okay, we will reconvene in open session. The time is 3:24 p.m. For the record, in compliance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, no votes were taken or decisions reached in executive session. We have 2 items of business from the miscellaneous section before we recess the day. The first is a walk-on item from Texas State University System and Lamar University. Regents, the motion is in front of you and on the screen. This item, upon recommendation of Chancellor Brian McCall, is to rename the James M. Jimmy Simmons Music Building on the Lamar University campus to the James M. Jimmy and Susan Simmons Music Building in recognition of their tremendous service to Lamar University. Regents, do you have any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Regent Lee, do I hear a second? Second. Regent Tinsley? Any discussion? Is there any objection to this motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. The final item today is a walk-on from Texas State University. Regents, the motion is in front of you and on the screen. This item is for recognition by the Board of the Texas State University to name the South End Zone Football Complex on the San Marcos campus in honor of Johnny and Natalie Wiseman. President Danfus, would you like to comment?
Thank you, Chair Austin. Regents, Johnny and Natalie Weissman gave a sizable gift to help support the building of the South End Zone Complex. Originally, the gift was made anonymously, but we convinced them to allow them their name to be revealed recently. And Johnny is a 1972 graduate of Texas State University with a degree in business administration and was recognized in 2020 as a distinguished alumni honoree. Natalie is a former volleyball and track student athlete. She earned her degree in 1998 in health and fitness management. They are tremendous advocates and servants to the university, and their gift to this particular project will be a game changer for us. And we're requesting permission to name the expanded football center after Johnny and Natalie, and we appreciate your consideration of that.
Thank you. Regents, do you have any questions or comments? Is there a motion? Regent? No. Regent Flores, is there a second? Regent Scott? Any discussions? Is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. If there is no further business and without objection, we will stand in recess for the day and reconvene in open session tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. The time is 3:29 p.m.